Chapter 5, Lesson 7, Solving Proportions. What is a proportion? We've been working on all these for quite a while. It's an equation stating two ratios or rates are equivalent. Example, 4 over 2 is equal to 8 over 4. Property of proportions, another property to add to your property list. The cross products of a proportion are equal. Now we talked about that in just 2 lessons ago. So a cross product is this way, B times C and A times D. And you can see A times D is right here. A times D is equal to B times C, right there. Only when B and D are 0. You can't have a 0 down there, else it won't work. All right, use the multiplication property of equality to show equivalence of proportions. So let's look at example 1. I have it all listed here for you. So we're going to use what we already know, the multiplication property of equality. That means whatever you do to one side, you do it to the other. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Now this may look confusing to you, but we're going to do example 1, talk through it, and I'll give you an additional example 1, and then we'll do example 2, and then we'll go on and move into cross products. So example 1, it's all letters. I know that this is kind of hard for you guys to understand, but watch this carefully, maybe even rewind it. Notice that I have A over B is equal to C over D. I have A over B and C over D. And I'm multiplying both sides by the same exact thing. That's called the multiplication property of equality. Notice I'm multiplying this side by BD. I'm also multiplying this by BD. I'm multiplying both sides by the same thing, equality. Okay, so now I come down here, and these will both be into fractions. I can go like this, and A times B times D is ABD. See it? And C times BD is CBD. See that one? And on the bottom, B times 1 is B, and D times 1 is D. Now rewind it just to make sure you understand all of that part. Now, once you're done with that, this is going back to some things that we had done in the past. This is B over B. Well, they both have a first power, don't they? And 1 minus 1 is 0. And anything to the 0 power is 1. So B over B can be divided out. B divided by B is gone. And D divided by D is gone. So what do we have? We have A times D is AD. And B, or C times B, I just made them in alphabetical order, B times C. And that's proof for this. The cross products. A times D is equal to B times C, and we proved it using the multiplication property of equality. Now, it's a little confusing, I know, but let's put some numbers to it. Let's do this one. 1/2 is equal to 3/6. Now you know that's true, don't you? Okay, so let's go ahead and do it just like we just did here. So what we're going to do is we're going to write 1/2 times, oops, not a decimal point, let me back up on that one. 2 times 6 is equal to 3/6 times 2 times 6. Now, you see how I did that? Up here, I multiplied both by the two denominators, and I have my two denominators here, so I'm doing the same thing. I make these into fractions. And now what does all this say? Well, this says 1 times 2 up on the top times 6 over 1 times 2 on the bottom. See my 1 and my 2 right on the bottom here. And then over here, I'm going to put them in order. That's 3 times 2 times 6 over 6 times 1. All right, so what do I have in common here? 1 divided by 1 is 1, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. So you can see I just have 6 over here. And over here, 6 divided by 6 is 1. And 3 times 2 is 6, and 6 divided by this one on the bottom is also 6. See how they're equal to each other? All right, example 2. More proof that this works. What am I proving? I'm proving the property of proportions using cross products. Some of you guys use cross products. Well, all of you use cross products back in elementary school, but you were just told to do it. You didn't know why it worked. So that's what we are discussing right now. Example 2. All right, let's go ahead and start. If I want to know what C is, I need to get rid of 12. Well, I can multiply this side, my right side, by 12 over 1. Now, I need to use the multiplication property of equality. If I multiply this side by 12, I better multiply the other side by the same exact thing. All right, now I'm going to do the math. 12 times 7 is 84, and 1 times 14 is 14. Is equal to 12 times C is 12C, and 12 times 1 is 12. Now I notice that 12 divided by 12 is 1, so those are gone, and now C comes down, and that's equal to 84 fourteenths. Well, 84 divided by 14 is 6. So C is 6. I just discovered what C is. Oops, I didn't want to do that. Discovered what C is. All right, let's go crazy on this one. Let's write it again. 7 fourteenths is equal to C 12. Let's say I want to move 14, so I'm going to multiply this side by 14 first. 14 first. That is the action of multiplication property of equality. Okay, so when I do this, I'm going to get 14 times 7 actually well, yeah, I'll just keep on going. Then I also want to multiply both sides by 12 over 1. Let's put a line here so we don't get confused. All right, so what do we have here? Well, we have 12 over 1 times 14 over 1 times 7 fourteenths. So what does that look like? Well, that looks like this. 12 times 14 times 7 over 14. And on the other side, I have C times 14 times 12 over 12. And if you look here, what gets canceled out? 14 divided by 14 is 1, so that's gone. And 12 divided by 12 is 1. So what do I have left over? I have 12 times 7 over here, and I have C times 14 over here, which is 14C equal to 84. Well, to get rid of 14, I use the property of equality. So I divide both sides by 14. And I get 84 divided by 14, you can see is 6 again. You may need to watch these a few times just to get a real good idea of it. Now, you don't have to do all that work when you're working, okay? You're just going to be using cross products, and that was all the proof that cross products works. All right, so let's go ahead and do this one down here. This is 6 times 16 is equal to 4 times 24. See, 6 times 16 is here, and 4 times 24 is here, and they both equal, oops, they both equal 96. Let's go try it. A times D is equivalent to B times C. And you have right down here, A times D is equal to B times C. In elementary, you guys, a lot of you learned, look for patterns. You look for this way, and you look for this way. And on this one, you can see a pattern 5 and 20. And so in elementary school, you say, hey, wait a minute, 5 and 20. You say 5 times 4 is 20, so 2 times 4 is 8. You go, x is 8. And you were taught to use those vertical and horizontal patterns, which was exactly what you were supposed to be taught. Some of you guys even got taught further, and you got taught cross products. So let's go ahead and do cross products right now. 2 times 20 is equal to 5 times x. This is 40 is equal to 5x. Then all you have to do is do the property of equality, divide both sides by 5, you get x is 8. Now, the reason why we don't use the method that you use in elementary school, those vertical and horizontal patterns, is sometimes you're not going to see them. Do you see a pattern here? You don't. So simply we'll just go 8 times 5 times 42. I didn't say 8 times 5, did I? I did. 8 and 5/10 times 42 is equal to 51 times m. Make a little swoop. And then this is going to be 51m is equal to, with my calculator, 357. Divide both sides by 51. Okay, m is 7. Number 6, this is what you're going to run across in your assignment. Mr. K is ordering pizza for his favorite class period. Is that your class? Could be. He knows 16 pizzas will feed 212 students. About how many pizzas will he need to feed 40 students? So here's how you do this. First of all, you make a little ledger here for you. We need to know pizza and we need to know students. We want to write this down. We want to make a little ratio or rate here because we don't want to get mixed up. Then we're going to set up our proportions. What goes on top? Pizzas. What goes on the bottom? Students. All right. Could I have set it up with students on top and pizzas on the bottom? Yes, that would work just fine. But I set it up like pizza over students. So here we go. He knows 16 pizzas will feed 212 students. So 16 is for what? 212 students. About how many pizzas will he need to feed 40 students? So where does the students go? On the bottom. Well, do I know how many pizzas? No, I don't. So I put my variable up there. I've just set up my proportions. So all I have to do is go 212 times x, which is 212 times x is 212x. And then I use 16 times 40 in my calculator, and I get 640. I divide both sides by 212, and I get x is 3.01886. Well, can I order 3 pizzas and feed everybody? No. I need to order 4 pizzas. Because I need a tiny bit more, don't I? That was unfortunate. All right. Example number 7. So how are we going to set this one up? Let's read it first. ASI sells 8-ounce carton of milk for 40 cents. On Tuesday, ASI sold $248.40 worth of milk. According to this information, how many milk cartons would be sold in a 5-day period? So all you have to do is make up your list. I'm going to put milk cartons on top, and I'm going to put days on the bottom. Those are the two things mentioned. I'll set up my proportions here, and they are telling me in the story that it's telling me here that says on Tuesday, ASI sold $248.40 worth of milk cartons. According to this information, how many milk cartons would be sold in a 5-day period? So we know on Tuesday, which was one day, that they sold a certain amount. And we want to know how many they would sell on 5 days. Put our X up here. What is it? Our problem is we need to know how many milk cartons were sold. Well, it doesn't tell us. But it does tell us on one day they sold that much. So all we have to do for the number is divide it by each milk carton, which is 40 cents. And we find out that that's 621 cartons of milk. We put 621 up here, and now we can solve our proportions. 1 times x is equal to 621 times 5. So 1 times x is 1x, and 621 times 5 is 3,105. Divide both sides by 1, which really doesn't do anything. And we get 3,105 cartons. And the last one. Fresno Chaffee Zoo has raised enough funds to buy a new species of animal for an exhibit. They are looking at either 45 myna birds or 3 leopards. They have enough for 2 leopards. How many birds could they purchase? All right, so let's go myna birds to leopards and make our proportion. Myna birds are on top. It says in the paragraph that they have 45 myna birds to 3 leopards. So 45 on top for the myna birds and 3 on the bottom for the leopards. They know that they have enough for 2 leopards. So where does that go? On the bottom. But they don't know how much they need for the myna birds. So we go ahead and go 3 times x is 3x, and 45 times, oops, I'd like to do that. 45 times 2. So 3x is equal to 45 times 2, which is 9. We divide both sides by 3. X is 30. 30 what? 30 myna birds. Let's go practice some of the assignment. All right, this is going to be repetitive over and over. All we have to do is do this, set them equal to each other as cross products. K times 49 is 49K is equal to 7 times 63, and you bring out your calculator. Is 441. Divide both sides by 49. And we get K is equal to 9. Now, it's not the K factor, it's just variable K. Next one. 6 times G is equal to 11 times 19.2. So 6 times G is 6G, and 11 times 19.2 on my calculator is 211 and 2/10. I divide both sides by 6. I get G is equal to 35.2. Now, when you're entering these on your forms, you only put the numbers. Okay? Number 5. We'll do x times 24 times 12 times 26. X times 24 is 24x, and 12 times 26 is 312. Divide both sides by 24, that property of equality. And we get x is 13. 8 times w, 6.5 times 20. is 8W, and 6.5 times 20 is 130. Divide both sides by 8, and W is 16 and 25 hundredths. See how fast this goes? X times 1 is 1x, or x, and 12 times 2.54 is 30 and 48 hundredths. That was a super simple one. Write a proportion that could be used to solve each variable, then solve. All right, now there's a whole bunch of different ways to write these, but there are ways to incorrectly write them. Okay, so we'll start with number 11 first. 8 gallons at $28. So here's one way you can do it. 8 over 28, and I put gallons over dollars, didn't I? Is equal to F gallons. The F goes on top, that's where the gallons is, and 5250. That's one way. Another way to write this would be dollars on top, gallons on the bottom. And that would be $28 on top, 8 on the bottom, and 5250 over F. Okay, and you know that you're getting them right because no matter what direction you're doing here, 28 times F, look at this, 28 times F. All right, another way to write this would be like kind of like in columns. So you have a dollar column and you have a gallon column. Okay, so the dollar column, what do you know? Well, 28, 52, 50, and then you have 8 gallons and F. Now, how do you know you got it right? Well, you know you got it right because look at the 28 and the F still line up just like all the others, and you'll get the same answer. So there's a bunch of different ways to write it. However, if you get them crossed up, you'll end up getting the wrong answer. So it says then solve. So now I'm going to go back and solve these. They're all going to be solved the same thing. So this one right here is 28F is equal to, calculator 8 times 5250, 420. And I'll divide both sides by 28. And I get F is 150. All right. Now I'll try to do a better job with writing clearer and stuff. My hand is getting tired. This is the third set of notes in a row. All right. So 10 cards at $7.50. So I'm going to do cards at money. So cards over money. And that's going to be 10 to 750 is equal to P cards over 18. And then I'll go ahead and go 750 times P, and 10 times, or yeah, 10 times 18. So that's going to be 7.5P is equal to 180. I'll divide both sides by 7.5 and get P equals 24. And number 15, I'll do it differently this time. This time I'm going to do this toy cars at money. So I'll do it like this. I'll do cars in one column and money in the other. Okay, so there you go. The cars are 6 to C, and the money is 450 to 675. So I'll go C times this, and like this. So C times 450 is 4.5C, and 6 times 675 is 40.5. Divide both sides by 4.5, and I get C is 9. There you have it.